To convert 0.85 grams to micrograms, you would do 0.85 grams, and then so 1 gram would equal 10 decigrams, and then you put 10 on top, and then 1 decigram equals 10 centigrams, and then you put 1 centigram on the bottom, and you put 1 centigram equals 10 milligrams, and 1 milligram equals 10 micrograms. So you gotta do 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 0.85 would equal 10,000 times 0.85 and 8,500 micrograms. An element is the simplest form of matter. It is only one type of atom. A compound is a pure substance that is composed of multiple elements that are chemically bonded together. A homogeneous mixture is one that is the same throughout. A heterogeneous mixture is not uniform and it is different throughout the mixture. The chicken noodle soup is a heterogeneous mixture, and chicken plus noodles plus broth, and it's not evenly distributed throughout. Oxygen is, and it only contains one type of atom, so it is an element. Sugar is C12H22O11, and it's a compound. It's composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It has more than one type of atom. And air is a homogeneous mixture. It's contained oxygen, nitrogen, and other elements that aren't bonded together. Hydrogen's atomic number is 1 because it's the first element in the periodic table, and the number of protons determines the element's atomic number. There are multiple mass numbers possible for hydrogen, and the number of neutrons and protons determines the mass, and they are isotopes of hydrogen. There are multiple possibilities for the atomic mass. 1.0079 for H and 2.0158 for H2. And the number of neutrons and protons determines the atomic mass. Cu, copper, is the cation. It has a charge of 2, so it has 2 extra electrons to give away. And sulfate is the anion. It has a -2 charge. None of the name of the compound is copper sulfate. I've determined that because by knowing copper is Cu on the periodic table and SO4 represents sulfate. And the mass, I determined the mass. Copper is 63.546. Sulfur is 32.066. And the O4 is 63.9976, and all them added together is 159.6096. That would be the molar mass. Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. It shares 3 of them with hydrogen, so the outer shell of each atom is filled. The dots represent the 2 valence electrons that are not being used The lines represent the electrons that are shared by the nitrogen and hydrogen atoms. Ammonia would be polar because the compound has an unequal amount of shared electrons. NH3 is trigonal pyramidal, which means that the hydrogen molecules are 107 degrees apart. The electron pairs repel the hydrogen atoms, so that's why they're 107 degrees apart. These are structural isomers of butane, and this is isobutane, which is the structural isomer of butane. Structural isomers have the same chemical makeup, they are just arranged in a different way. Conformational isomers are the same, they just vary in the way they're arranged. And they're not different in any way. They're just this. Trans isomers contain alternating compounds on each side of the double bonded carbon atoms, while cis isomers have compounds on the same side of the double bonded carbon atoms. So this is a trans butene, and this is a cis butene. If you draw a dotted line across, the cis would be on top, and cis would have the same on top, have the two on top, and then on the trans they'd be opposite, on the opposite side of the dotted line drawn in the middle. I use glyceraldehyde. L-glyceraldehyde has the bonded hydroxide on the same side as the carbonyl group, or the left side, as you can see. D-glyceraldehyde has the hydroxide on the farthest away from the carbonyl group, or on the right side, as you can see.